Welcome to a landmark chapter in the saga of our brightest talents. Welcome to the home where nuance matters and truth is earned, Turkish Spotlight Secrets. At the edge of 2026, while the city roared with fireworks and countdowns, a gentler glow rose from a quiet apartment tucked into Istanbul's veins. Tonight, we step into the aftermath of a revelation that reorders months of noise. After a season of whispers about drifting hearts and backstage frost, the couple who have quietly set a standard for grace under pressure finally let the world see what words were never going to explain: Gökberk and Cemre. What unfolded hours ago goes beyond the terrain of rumor. It feels like a vow delivered in silence. Before we unravel every subtle detail captured in those intimate images that seized the timelines, a warm invitation. If you value analysis tempered with respect, if you crave storytelling that honors reality over spectacle, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Tap that bell so the rhythm of the stars finds you on time. And if you want to stand at the core of this project and access our most exclusive breakdowns, hit join now. Your membership keeps our work independent and deep, while others skim the surface. Take a breath, because we are about to walk into Gökberk and Cemre's sanctuary. New Year's Eve is usually a parade of glitter and curated noise. For Gökberk and Cemre, the arrival of 2026 became the exact opposite, a lesson in essence. The photos they chose to share, or perhaps simply refused to hide, announce a complete shift in posture. There are no crowded soirees, no gowns engineered for headlines, no champagne pyramids. There is a home. A lived-in, measured space where every object speaks softly. The decor is almost poetic in its restraint, the kind of minimal that grows warmer the longer you look. A small tree with ornaments set in place as if each choice mattered, string lights gently rinsing the corners with a peace you can almost hear, and an atmosphere that refuses, almost stubbornly, any script about separation. Cemre's ease, hair and face unguarded, and Gökberk's unforced calm suggest these frames weren't orchestrated by a strategist but caught between moments, like light on water. For the Turkish Spotlight Secrets family, that detail matters. True love never needs to shout, it hums and is heard. For weeks, the tabloids had nothing but their absence to feed upon. There were timelines dissected, sightings questioned, set rumors spun into cautionary tales. The narrative hardened into a prediction. Their paths had split, and the chemistry that once made every scene crackle had evaporated under the glare. Their response? Silence. No rushed denials. No all-caps clarifications. Just a refusal to let gossip be the architect of their story. At Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we read their quiet as a sign of evolution. They are not the fledgling stars they once were, trying to pass every test set by public opinion. They are two people who learned that privacy is the oxygen that keeps a relationship alive at the summit. The circles closest to the actress say the decision to spend New Year's in calm, away from lenses and noise, began as a pact for mutual protection. And in a modern gesture that speaks more than grand declarations ever could, Gökberk adjusted his world to hers, offering a kind of steadiness that is rare when everything around you is constantly in motion. If there was ever an answer to the forecasts of collapse, it is this studied quiet. Let's pause in this story, thick with symbolism. Dear Turkish Spotlight Secrets family. Do you believe that restraint and simplicity are the most effective shields against the rumor machine? Or should public figures reveal more to their audiences in exchange for the loyalty they receive? And which other Turkish couple deserves this kind of careful lens from us? Share your thoughts, we read every word. If this depth resonates with you, leave a like. And remember, the join button is your direct line to our most detailed investigations, the ones we can only offer to members. Your support allows us to keep asking the questions others avoid. From what we have learned, Cemre has crossed a threshold in recent months. Those close to her describe a long season of quiet reordering, of clearing the clutter inside and out. Her gaze has pivoted away from the metrics, away from performing herself for a feed, toward the quality of her breath, toward the peace that doesn't announce itself but settles. This New Year's Eve, stripped to essentials, rises from that decision not to be devoured by a spectacle machine that treats the private as public property. Friends say this intentional retreat hasn't just calmed the air, it has deepened her bond with Gökberk. In the dim warmth of their living room, with a table for two, a simple dinner, and music floating like a veil, they found themselves again at the place where it all began, a conversation that refused to end. Despite a calendar that nips at his heels, Gökberk held his ground as the anchor she needed, anticipating small things, refusing the little slippages that, over time, can undo any home. At Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we celebrate it not as a performance but as a transition into maturity. Joy guarded in the heart rather than displayed like a trophy. The industry took notice. In a climate hooked on blow-ups and public reconciliations, the quiet of their images felt almost radical. There were no exclusives engineered to swat rumors like flies, no thread-by-thread postmortems across platforms. Just stillness rendered visible. And as strange as it may seem, restraint played out like strategy. By refusing to feed the fire, they moved the spotlight back to where it always should have been, on their work and on the ground beneath their relationship. It didn't happen overnight, but comments turned. The tone shifted from doubt to respect, from cynicism to something like relief. Observers began to say, "This is what stability looks like when you don't make it into a spectacle." The effect outpaced any campaign, any glossy cover. It told us that amid constant exposure, authenticity remains the most coveted luxury, and the rarest. Look closely at the final images. There are details that the quick scroll will miss but that we at Turkish Spotlight Secrets examined with care. The weight in that space isn't the weight of repair. It feels like completion. A rhythm settled into place. The glances they exchange, caught mid-laugh or mid-thought, suggest a balance hard won. How to stand together without dissolving into one another, how to remain distinct while moving in the same direction. Those close to their teams whisper that 2026 will bring choices shaped by this equilibrium. Cemre is said to be leaning toward projects that protect the boundary lines of her private time. Gökberk, grounded by the stillness they have cultivated, seems ready to face the challenges ahead with a steadiness that only this kind of home can yield. The message lands cleanly. They are aligned, they are strong, and they have chosen to put their bond before the show around it. This was not only the end of a calendar year, it felt like the beginning of a season where they write their own rules, at their own pace. To our community, thank you for making Turkish Spotlight Secrets the space where this level of thoughtfulness lives. If you haven't stepped into our membership yet, you're missing the analyses that can't breathe in the public square. The join button unlocks not just extra content but the independence that keeps our lens clear. Members receive special badges and a real voice in choosing which stories we tackle next. Your support turns curiosity into craft. As we close this New Year chronicle that reshaped expectations, one certainty rises above the noise: Gökberk Yildirim and Seamra Arda have outlasted speculation by refusing to play its game. They have shown that love is not a contract negotiated in public. It is a quiet agreement renewed in rooms where only two people get a vote. Welcoming the year in a way that was quiet but purposeful wasn't just a gift to themselves, it reverberated among fans who crave something real enough to breathe. At Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we will continue to read the small signs, the gestures that say more than any caption, and yes, even the silences that contain everything. May 2026 bring them the peace they have built with such care. If this journey made you think about how we guard what matters, like the video, share it with those who follow Gökberk and Cemre, and subscribe if you haven't already. And once more, consider joining our circle by clicking join. Your support keeps the Turkish Spotlight Secrets flame alive, bright enough to light the corners others overlook. We'll see you in the next exclusive, right here on your favorite channel, where the stories of the stars are told with patience and heart. Between the lines of these images, you can almost hear what words would only flatten. The click of a lamp switched off so the room can glow only from those modest lights. The clink of plates stacked after a meal that wasn't staged, just eaten. The hush that comes when two people decide the world can wait. That is the essence of the statement they made without addressing a single rumor directly. They practiced a kind of patience that is rare in public life, and rare in private life too, because it asks for discipline and trust. It would have been easy to hurl a denial into the feed, to grant a quick interview, to post a sunset caption about growth. They chose something harder. They chose to let time carry their message. It did. What we are seeing now is the soft aftermath of that choice. Casting discussions, brand overtures, scripts filtering in, all approached with the same question. Does this protect what we've built? And even if the answer isn't always yes, what matters is that the question gets asked. This is where partnerships thrive or thin out. When your schedule becomes a mirror of your values, the conflict is less about the hours you give away and more about the hours you keep. We are told that both have redrawn their calendars with a pencil, not a pen, making room for the kind of living that can hold up the weight of their careers without collapsing beneath them. There is ambition here, undimmed. But there is also clarity, the kind that forgives mistakes and resists panic. To those who doubted, the irony is that their quiet offered exactly what fans needed most: reassurance, not spectacle. To those who believed all along, the images were a simple confirmation. And to those stepping into this story now, perhaps it reads like a reminder that the most convincing proof is rarely loud. For our part, Turkish Spotlight Secrets will keep watching the horizon without rushing to conclusions, because this is a couple whose story rewards patience. In a city that rarely sleeps, they have found the courage to close a door, turn down the volume, and let a new year walk in on soft feet. That choice, more than any caption, was the headline.